last week I talked about passion and purpose. And so today I thought I would explore the passion and purpose of a friend of mine that you've seen before here. And he's going to tell us about a world I know very little about other than liking to watch it. We're going to look at puppetry. Ed, tell folks who you are and give some of your street creds, and we'll dive into your passion.
Sure, I would love to. My name is Ed May. I am a professional puppeteer. I've been a puppeteer professionally for almost 30 years now. It means I started when I was -2. No, not really. But as it has been about 30 years. I was thinking about that earlier. So I started as a very young kid with an interest and passion in puppetry, and I started performing. And during my career, I've been able to perform with the Muppets and some Sesame films and some Sesame Street specials. I've traveled around the world with Walking with Dinosaurs, which was a large arena show that toured around arenas around the globe. And then I've also done a lot of other TV spots. I've done a lot of TV series, videos, some other feature films. And then now I have my own small two-person company. My wife and I go out and tour regionally doing shows as well. So I've done everything from tiny shows to big, massive shows, big-time shows of characters you've probably recognized the names of, and then my own more obscure characters. Not sure that's the way I should put that. Anyway.
So that's some big names, and that's recognizable. People are going to know exactly what you're talking about. So let's dig back, since our work is the youth work world. Mm-hmm. Let's start with your interest. How did you get interested in puppets? How did you discover this is a thing? Because I don't recall classes in high school emphasizing this as career possibilities. So kind of rewind if you can.
You're right. You're not going to find a lot of career counselors or high school counselors saying, have you considered the world of puppetry? It's not going to happen. I can almost guarantee you. Except, I will throw this out here, unless you decide to go University of Connecticut, which has a puppetry program, where you can get an MFA in puppetry. It is sort of a subset of a theater degree, but you can get an MFA in puppetry. But to wind back for myself, I have always been interested in puppetry. I, of course, as most people my generation, started watching Sesame Street as young children, and I loved it. I really enjoyed all the characters. And when I was very young, I want to say it was early 70s, they put out commercially a bunch of rubber, plastic-headed puppets of Sesame Street. So I had Ernie, I had Bert, Grover, Cookie Monster, I had all of them. And I also had a lot of the, all those, And I had, I even have a Roosevelt Franklin, which is really kicking it old school. I still have him. And I also had a lot of the albums. So I had Ernie's Hits and the Monsters album and things like that, where they had a lot of the recordings from the Sesame Street program. And I would have the puppets sing along with the audio. I learned early on, and I just learned this by, I guess, watching the show, and I learned it intuitively, that there's something called lip sync, where you open the character's mouth when they speak. You don't start with, a lot of people do it backwards. They'll start open and close it, which is not how people actually talk. And so I learned that as a kid, just intuitively, and would practice doing that. And so somehow I got interested in performing with puppets. And my first, introduction to the power of puppetry was when I was in kindergarten. And it was one of our first days in the school library. And the librarian was doing a presentation of how to behave, how to act in the library. And it was, don't run, sit at your table, and then how to treat the books. We don't turn them around backwards. We don't write in them. We don't need to have messy fingers and then touch the books. We don't throw them. She had a series of sock puppets that taught us these rules. And they had, a piece of a book page on it that had been scribbled on, or they had like sticky things on it, or they were turned upside down. And so she went through that. And after she got through presenting this to us, she passed out the sock puppets to certain kids, again, to see if we'd really understood what she had told us, because we were supposed to tell it back to her and the peers. So I got one of these sock puppets, and I was the last one to do my little vignette. And I did about 5 minutes ad-libbed on rules of the library with this puppet. And the kids laughed, and they thought it was so funny. And for the next week, the kids said, that thing you did in the library was so funny. Oh my gosh, it was when you said, and I got all kinds of attention. And I remember thinking, this is okay. I don't mind people knowing what I did and really enjoying what I did. So that was the first time I really performed outside my home with a puppet. And that just propelled me to do it more often. So I did it quite often through, junior high, high school, And luckily, because this is what I wanted to do, end up making a career out of it. I should say that that's the only thing that I've ever said I wanted to do. I've always said I want to be a puppeteer. So, and I'm doing it, and I've been doing it, like I said, for almost 30 years. So.
And I bet in kindergarten you were doing it properly.
I was doing it very properly. I don't mind telling you. I was really good at it. And that's something, you know, I mean, people will say, well, there are certain talents, and there are certain talents, and you can learn any skill that you take time to learn. But there are some things that people pick up quicker than others. And that's something that I just, again, I had the intuitive recognition that this mouth was moving when the puppet's mouth was opening and closing the correct way. And then I had an affinity for it. So
I'm sitting here going like this with you under
very
the
good.
table,
Yeah, do that.
but I have to do it slowly.
Yes, do it very slowly. You know, and actually, here's a little tip. If you want to learn how to lip sync a puppet and do it correctly, one of the easiest ways to do it is find a song that you know the words to extremely well, and have your hand sing the song as you're, you know, as it's singing. If it's, you know, Mac the Knife or whatever it is, have your hand sing it. I do it even now. Sometimes I'm driving down the road and my hand is singing along with the radio instead of me. You know, people sing along. It's this is what I'm doing. So I've gotten some really odd looks on the interstate driving down the road going.
So do you ever call it hand syncing?
Yes.
So no, I really can't appreciate that you're doing that so easily, because I spent a summer in college in Mexico, and puppetry was part of what we had to do. So we went through training camp, and they're like, don't have your puppet looking straight up into the air with mouth open.
Down.
You need to tilt the head down. And
open
they
the mouth.
practice. And so that was really, really slow for me to do it. So the fact that you're just like fluent in hand syncing and puppetry, I can admire that, because I know what work it was for us to learn to do it, and also to learn to like go down off the stage and come back up
to maintain a character's height, that you're not doing this as you're walking off stage at this, you know, if this is the height of your character, this is the height it is no matter where it goes, because theoretically there are legs and it's standing on the floor. So yeah, to make the whole puppetry is all about making an inanimate object seem to be alive. That's exactly what it is. No matter what the character is, what it looks like, it could be something as simple as a mouse. You know, if this all of a sudden has a life that it seems like it's looking around and interacting with things, it becomes a puppet. So yeah.
Apologize for sounds in the background. Someone's cutting grass. That's the choice. The other thing I remember is, and I don't know if you had to do this, but the way our stage was, you know, above us, I'd have to hold my arm up the entire time for my puppets, you know, because you have to have dexterity, you have to have muscles,
you have to have some endurance, you have to have stamina. Yeah, puppetry is, I've always said, if you're comfortable while you're performing, you're not doing it right. Because you always have to be in some weird position. Either you're behind a set and you're on your knees, or you're standing up with your arm in the air, or if you're doing a video, television, film sort of shoot, they've raised the sets about 4 feet in the air. So you're standing on the ground, but you still have to have your arm up over your head for a long time, holding, even if the puppet only weighs half a pound, that's a half a pound pulling down on your hand for a long period of time. Plus just the fact that gravity doesn't want to pump blood up your arm. It wants to, you know, it's a little more work to do that. So you have some fatigue. Then a lot of times, if you're shooting, say, a television or a film program, and nobody wants to see this, you know, they want to see the puppet, they don't want to see the top of my head. So then you have to get your head out. So then you're doing this, your head is turned over this way, and then you got the puppet, because you can't see me now, is up, you know, up over my head. And now my puppet has to exit this way. So now I have to physically, you know, while still doing this, not having my head in the shot and having the puppet where you can see it. So yeah, there's a lot of physicality beyond, and then you have to act and you have to perform. And puppeteers are,
do different voices for your different
voices. And puppeteers are actors. I mean, a lot of times there's this sort of, well, there's actors and they're puppeteers. Well, puppeteers are actors. They're just acting through an object instead of it coming through their physical, their body, you know.
Okay, so kindergarten really was a definite kickoff. That opportunity came, which is something we talk about a lot in, whether you're in an after-school program or in a classroom, that the more you expose your young people and your students to different opportunities, the more likely they're going to figure out their spark.
Yes.
And we define spark. It was it's a term that comes from some thriving Behaviors and Thriving Research put up by Search Institute is that thing that gives you passion and energy and you love doing it and you lose track of time. And that's sort of the precursor to figuring out your purpose.
Right.
So you
I
found
agree.
yours. You got you got triggered really early. I happen to know this, but did you go to the University of Connecticut, or did you intentionally pick your college based on what you wanted to do?
I went to Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro for a few reasons. First of all, I didn't realize that University of Connecticut had a puppetry program at that time. Wasn't nearly as widespread. I think it was still pretty new at that point. So I didn't know it was an option. Had I known that, I probably would have. But since I didn't know that, I went to Middle Tennessee State University, which was I'm from Tennessee, so it's in Tennessee, so it was close by. Really good school. I recommend it. My son went there. I have other family members that are going and have gone there. I went there because, good place. And I was originally going to go into theater, and I actually got a degree in public relations with a theater minor. And I did that because I had great family, had great parents, and my parents never discouraged me from being a puppeteer. They never once said, no, don't do that. That's dumb. You can't do that. You're never going to make a living. They were always very supportive of my dream of being a puppeteer. But my mother said, when I was going to university, she said, I think you should be a puppeteer, but maybe you should get a degree on something else just in case it doesn't work out. And I agree with that. I understand that. So I got a degree in public relations. Now, being a performer, having to go out and get gigs and now having my own company and having to promote myself, I've used my public relations degree in a variety of ways, and it's been incredibly valuable. However, a theater degree would have been very helpful in other ways as well. So, that's why I did not get a theater degree, and that's why I did not go to University of Connecticut specifically, because I wasn't aware, and that's why I didn't, like I said, didn't get the theater degree. However, because I wanted to be a puppeteer, and because that was kind of always in the back of my head what I really wanted to do with my life, I still found opportunities to perform or to be involved in puppetry, even if it was, not necessarily the way I wanted to be doing it right at the moment. So I had other jobs where I did other puppets or worked puppets into other performance opportunities and other things that would present themselves like that. So that was still the driving force behind what I wanted to do. And in broader sense, performing, because I do like to perform. I like to be around other people. I like to present and entertain people. I specifically like to do with puppets, but then I've also been on radio and I like doing it that way. And I've acted just me on camera. So I like doing that as well. Puppetry is my favorite. But I found all those other ways to fill that passion, the broader passion of entertaining and presenting things to make people happy.
It sounds like it was perfect synergy, though. By you getting the public relations degree,
yes.
You were getting the business side of, because
to a certain extent, I agree.
Like even with writing is one thing, but the whole, how do you do the rest of it, promoting yourself? So you, maybe not complete business, but you got the promoting and how you put yourself out there. You needed to know some of those other complementary skills, I guess.
I agree. And in a lot of ways, it was better that I didn't get a theater degree. I mean, of course, had I gotten a theater degree, there are a lot of specific things about theater that I would have known, especially technically, like lighting and sound, that I had to sort of teach myself after the fact. That being said, I have learned those things because I've had to learn them. And speaking of education, a lot of times the best way to learn something is put yourself in the situation where you have to know it, and that's how you learn things. That's when you retain the information. Like we were talking about making a card on Canva or doing a Zoom call. Yeah. You learn things like that. And then I learned how to do lighting and sound because I was in a situation where I had to learn how to do that. But I think you're right. I mean, having the public relations degree gave me another set of skills that complement what I'm doing, that go along with what I'm doing, that, had I gotten a pure theater degree, I might not have. And that's one of the big things a lot of theater people, a lot of performer, creative people struggle with is the business side. And is how to promote myself, or how do I do the customer relations? How do I do the financial things, things like that. And those things that I sometimes still struggle with is where do I do this and how do I do that and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to sort of interacting with people and contacting people, because of my personality and of my public relations background, I've got a decent handle on that. And it's like I heard, and you could probably relate to this being a writer, writing is an art, but publishing is a business. Yeah. You kind of had to know something about the two of those to really make it work.
So 2 more questions
Okay.
to follow this passion pathway.
Sure.
If young people, if they think, hey, I've never thought about this, but you know, this sounds like it'd be a good career, do you have suggestions for today where they might go to try it out and see if they like it, to intern? I know right now we're doing a lot of stuff online for volunteering, internships for young people, camps, all that kind of stuff. Where are some suggestions for them to go and even to explore, and you've named some of the other possibilities, if there's any other possibilities that come to mind related to this field? Mention those 2.
Like with everything else, the age of the internet has opened up worlds of information we didn't have available back when I was young and starting this, my journey in the journey of puppetry, in the world of puppetry. So tons of places you can go. First of all, I would say find the Puppeteers of America, which is a group of puppeteers in America. Obviously, the name's not just a clever title. And it's puppeteers who, they're there to help promote puppetry. They're there to help support puppeteers. They're help to just promote the art of puppetry. So go to, I think it's, puppets.org. That's either Center for Puppetry Arts or it's Puppeteers of America. But anyway, Puppeteers of America, do a Google search for that, get connected to them. If there is a local guild in your area, because each city sometimes will have a guild of local puppeteers who meet together. Sometimes it's informal. They get together and just talk about puppetry, or they'll just talk about what's going on. They'll often share, this is what I'm working on. This is how I'm doing this. This is how I'm building this puppet. This is the show I'm doing. Hey, these people booked me and they want to have more puppets. Maybe you should contact them. So that's another great resource to get a hold of. A lot of people, especially back when I was younger in larger cities, they would get connected to a puppetry guild, and that would help nurture them and foster them into their passion of puppetry. Also, and I mentioned it a moment ago, Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta. It is a great resource, and they have a great museum. They have a whole section on Jim Henson. They have a whole section on historical and cultural puppets from around the world. They do shows. They do workshops. It is an amazing resource that's not that far away, and they have a tremendous online presence. So definitely check out Center for Puppetry Arts. Beyond that, if you're just at home, again, pandemic going on, we can't go a lot of places. I would say you can make you can make a puppet out of anything. So get the old socks and make the real simple sock puppets, and just put on a show for everybody. Lip sync to a song. If you really know the song Mac the Knife, get you a little shark puppet and sing Mac the Knife. Oh, the shark bites with his teeth. Or a paper sack. I made tons of paper sack puppets when I was a kid. If you want to go maybe a little more advanced, there is a website called projectpuppet.com where they sell puppet patterns. And some of them are a little more advanced, but there's one called the Glorified Sock Puppet that I think it costs $20. You can download it, print it out. It gives you a pattern to make a pretty decent moving mouth, sort of Muppety style puppet. Matter of fact, I'll show you an example. This is a puppet made from their Glorified Sock Puppet pattern.
Wow.
Like this. So with very little investment in time and money, you can make a pretty decent looking puppet.
That's cool.
Pretty decent. And so that's another thing you can do, but and again, take every opportunity you have to practice puppetry, present puppetry, bring puppetry up in front of people. And then you get a little more skill in it, or a little more comfortable with it. Reach out to your local library. Right now, again, things are weird because of things closing down and social distancing and not getting large groups together. But libraries have reading programs. They have summer reading programs. They have certain times of the year they have special events. If you're a young person, that's really one of the ways I got started after I did the school library thing, is I went to my local library and did shows every once in a while. And they're more than happy for me to show up and do a show for a few kids for their story hour or something like that. So that's a great built-in opportunity where you can get a chance to get in front of an audience, perform some puppets. And then, of course, these days we have cell phones and YouTube. And there are hundreds of ways that you can shoot a short little promo, put it on YouTube. And again, that's just another way you can get some experience and get an idea of what your voice is, and if you like it, and how do you like it, and what kind of puppets do you like. You may not like a Muppet style puppet. You might like rod puppets. You might like shadow puppets or a marionette or something like that. So yeah, just do it. The more you can do it and find those opportunities to do it.
A bunch of different types of puppets you just named there. So
yes, many.
So this has been fun.
Well, thank you. Thanks for asking me to do it. I really appreciate it.
Well, tell people where they can find you and if they want to see one of your shows or whatever it is that you want to promote.
Sure. Well, my company is called Runaway Puppet Theater. So if you go to runawaytheater.com, you can go there. You can see a lot of pictures of a lot of our former shows, or I should say our past shows, or have a repertoire there. I have some clips and promo clips of some of our shows. Coming up a little bit later, I'll have some more promos of things like that. But there's some photographs, there's some pictures. We also have a presence on Facebook. So go to facebook.com/Runaway Puppet Theater, all capital letters. And we do have a Facebook page that is relatively frequently updated. We'll try to put stuff that we're doing, or we'll find something about puppetry in the news we'll put there. And again, like us, follow us, connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. And again, we tour quite a bit in the summertime. This summer, again, has been very different than most summers, but we travel all throughout the Southeast. So hopefully we'll come by somewhere.
Does you have an online show for this summer because of?
We actually do this summer. Several libraries that had already booked to have us because they couldn't have us because they were closed down or they were not having large groups. Instead of performing the show live, we actually videotaped our show, edited the version together, and now we have it online for those libraries. Now, right now, it's just for those libraries. So if you go to, and I can give you some library, like the Brentwood Library in Tennessee, the Oak Ridge Public Library in Tennessee, the Mildred G. Fields Library in Tennessee. There's a couple of libraries in, I think, Alabama and maybe one in Arkansas that's having us as well. After they get a chance to show it this summer, then I probably will put up for more people to see. So again, check. Oh, that leads me to my YouTube channel. So search Runaway Puppet Theater on YouTube and you'll find our channel. Not a lot of videos there, but a few give you a sense of what we do.
Great, great. Hope you enjoyed this. I learned a lot and it was fun. And it's just a different topic. And I love talking about creativity, period. So this was cool. Like, subscribe, share. Let other youth workers, let other educators know about this great resource, especially since he's starting to do stuff online and with YouTube. He can bring some fun and creativity into your program. So tell your friends. Thank you, Ed, and we will talk again soon.